All right, grab your stakes, your torches, and maybe a little extra courage, because today we're looking at an absolute masterclass in cooperative survival. We're going to unpack the mechanics of Horrified. It's a brilliant board game where classic cinematic monsters are actively terrorizing a village, and you, along with your team, are literally the only one standing in their way. So consider this your official, urgent survival briefing.
Okay, let's dive right into this. The stakes here, they literally could not be higher. As the game sets it up, Dracula, the Wolfman, the Mummy are terrorizing the streets, and only you and your ragtag band of heroes can stop them. You know, this isn't one of those games where you just compete against your friends. It is a desperate, cooperative scramble to outsmart these creatures before they completely overrun the town. Every single decision matters, and understanding the rules, well, that's your first line of defense.
To make sure you're fully prepared, we're going to follow a quick survival checklist today. First, setting up the village. Second, taking hero actions. Third, the dreaded monster phase. And finally, how to win and lose. Let's get to it.
All right, Section 1, setting up the village, preparing for terror.
So the physical setup is your very first crucial step. You'll unfold the game board right in the center of the table and immediately place the terror marker on the 0 space of the terror track. Now this track is essentially your doom meter, so getting familiar with it is absolutely vital. Next, you'll set up your chosen monsters and their unique mats, just following the specific instructions on the back of those mats. Finally, you'll mix all 60 item tokens into a bag and randomly draw 12 out, placing each one on the board location printed right there on the token. And hey, make sure you also have your villager standees, the dice, and your shuffled monster and perk decks sitting nearby, ready to go.
You know what makes this game fantastic? It's how customizable the threat level is. A novice game pits you against 2 monsters, standard gives you 3, and a challenging game throws 4 nightmares at you all at once. For your very first run, the rulebook highly recommends a novice setup facing Dracula and the creature from the Black Lagoon. Honestly, it's the perfect way to learn the ropes without getting completely overwhelmed right out of the gate.
During setup, you also have to establish the monster hierarchy, using something called the frenzy marker. You'll line up your monster mats from the lowest frenzy value up to the highest. Then you just drop this frenzy marker on the monster with the lowest value. Keep a close eye on this token because whoever is the frenzied monster is going to be exceptionally aggressive during the game. Moving right along to Section 2, taking hero actions, equipping the resistance.
Here is a fun little fact for you. The game officially starts with a player who most recently ate garlic. Pretty thematic, right? Turn order just proceeds clockwise from there. On your turn, you're allotted a specific number of actions to take, which is usually 4, depending on the number printed at the top of your specific hero badge. You can pick from a whole menu of actions, and the best part is, you can perform them in any order. You can even repeat the exact same action multiple times if you need to.
Let's look at the most basic maneuvers: move, pick up, and share. Moving allows you to navigate the village along the lit paths, though importantly, heroes cannot travel on the water spaces. And don't worry about being blocked in. Monsters actually don't stop your movement. Once you're in a space, you can use the pickup action to grab any number of item tokens sitting there. And if another hero happens to be in your exact space, you can use the share action to freely give or take items from each other. You're pooling your resources for the greater good.
But hey, you aren't just saving yourselves here. You've got to save the locals too. The guide action allows you to move a villager either into your space or into an adjacent space. If you successfully guide a villager to the safe location printed on their token, they are pulled off the board, safe from the hunt. And as a reward, you draw a perk card. These cards are incredibly valuable. They offer powerful abilities that can be played for free during any hero's phase.
And this brilliantly illustrates how different the monsters really are. To beat a monster, you must first complete their unique advanced tasks using the items you've picked up. Dracula requires you to spend red items with a combined numbered value of 6 or higher to smash his scattered coffins. But the creature? The numbered value doesn't matter at all for him. You just need specific colored items, yellow, red, or blue, to move a boat marker down a river to find its hidden lair. You literally have to tailor your item collecting to the specific monsters you're fighting.
Now here's the catch with the defeat action. Only after you have fully completed a monster's advanced tasks can you use it. You can't just run up and punch Dracula on turn 1. No way! You must smash all his coffins first. Once the tasks are done, then you can travel to the monster's space and spend a specific final combination of items to banish them from the board for good.
But, you know, this isn't a one-sided fight. The moment a hero finishes their actions, the game fights back. Section 3, the monster phase, facing the threat.
This whole phase is driven by the monster deck. You draw one card and just read it from top to bottom.
First up, the number at the top tells you how many new items to draw from the bag and place onto the board. Quick survival tip here. If the bag is ever empty, don't panic, just shuffle the discard pile and keep drawing. Second, you resolve the specific event text right in the middle of the card. And finally, you look at the symbols at the bottom to see which monsters activate and strike.
So, how does this actually play out on the board? Well, when a monster is activated, it moves a set number of spaces toward the closest person, taking the shortest path possible. And watch out, because some monsters completely bend the rules. The creature, for instance, can travel through the water. If there's a tie in distance, the current player actually gets to choose the path. If there's a tie in who to target in a single space, monsters will always prioritize attacking a hero over a villager. As soon as a monster enters a space with a person, they immediately stop and roll dice to attack.
The dice completely determine your fate here. If it rolls blank, you're safe. A hit symbol, though, means the target suffers damage. But if you see that exclamation point power symbol, that triggers the specific monster's special ability. For example, Dracula's power forces a hero to be pulled directly into his space. It completely disrupts any carefully laid plans you might have had.
Now, if a hero is about to take a hit, you have one major defense mechanism. A hero can discard an item token from their inventory to cancel a hit. It's a one-to-one trade. One item discarded equals one hit canceled. And it doesn't matter what the item's color or value is. This means you have to constantly balance spending your items to defeat the monsters against keeping a few in your pocket just to stay alive. Because if you take even a single uncanceled hit, you are defeated.
And the consequences of a monster strike are pretty grim. If a villager takes a hit, they are permanently killed and removed from the board. If a hero takes a hit they can't block, they're sent straight to the hospital location. The hero does get to keep their items and respawn on their next turn, but in both cases, whether it's a villager dying or a hero going down, the terror track increases by 1. And as we talked about earlier, that track is your doom meter.
Now, what's really interesting about this next bit is that frenzy marker we placed during setup. This is where it gets highly dangerous. At the bottom of the monster cards, you might see the frenzy symbol. This means whichever monster currently holds that marker activates and attacks, even if they already attacked earlier in that exact same turn. It can lead to some truly devastating back-to-back attacks. Furthermore, certain game events will force you to pass the marker to the monster with the next highest frenzy value, so who the biggest threat is on the board is constantly shifting.
All right, we've set the board, we've planned our actions, and we've survived the attacks. Which brings us to Section 4. How to win and lose, the final stand.
The endgame is straightforward, but man is it tense. There is only one way to win. You and your team must work together to successfully defeat every single monster currently on the board. Easy enough to say, right? However, there are 2 ways to lose. If too many heroes or villagers are defeated, the terror track will reach its maximum space and it's game over. Alternatively, if you need to draw a monster card and that deck is entirely empty, you also lose. An empty deck basically means you've simply taken too long, the night has dragged on, and the remaining villagers have fled in terror.
Understanding these mechanics, really balancing your action efficiency, managing your items, and keeping those villagers safe is the absolute key to mastering this explainer on Horrified. The source material even notes there's some fantastic solo rules included if you want to brave the night entirely alone. So, keeping all of these survival tactics in mind, it leaves us with one final terrifying question. Which classic monster are you going to face first to save the village? Good luck out there, and stay out of the shadows.